Previously on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
The Raging Cajuns today, 13.5-point dogs. I think they not only cover against Iowa State, I think they pull the outright upset. Give me the Raging Cajuns to pull your first college football stunner of 2020.
Just one dog.
One dog. Woof, woof.
And they are a home dog.
Ooh.
That would be the L.A. Rams in their new empty stadium. They're getting 2.5 from the Cowboys. I'll take the Rams.
I will go with the Steelers, laying the 6. Seahawks, Falcons over 49. The Lions, when do they ever meet or exceed expectations? I mean, let's just be perfectly honest here. Chicago, on the road, give me the Bow Wow, plus the 2.5.
Indianapolis destroy Jacksonville. Give me San Francisco. They're a -7 against Arizona. Give me New England, which is a -7 over Miami.
He not only sold out, now he's a crook.
Yeah, he's a crook.
Need the money.
Unbelievable. And good Saturday morning. Welcome to 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1. I am your humbled host, Matt Hatfield. We've got Dino Franza on the other side of the glass. And to no surprise, the coach Ed Young is missing. I don't know where he is today. Is he on assignment? Who knows? Doesn't want to show his face around these parts after going 1-2 in our NFL picks, which if we can somehow, some way connect with him wherever he is, whether it be in Hampton Roads, outer space, neither, we'll see if he can redeem himself for week number 2 in a league where they play for pay. You heard Dino's upset special hitting with the Rams over the Cowboys. And how do we tie this back to the 757 and local? Well, we'll tell you how. Dino had the Rams. Aaron Donald, by the way, graded out as the top defensive lineman according to Pro Football Focus. Dino, number 2 graded out defensive lineman last week, though it came in defeat. Josh Sweat out of Oscar Smith High School for the Philadelphia Eagles. So a 757 guy got it done on the field. They do it every week, whether it's in college football, pro football. We don't have high school football just yet, but oh no, one of our guests this morning will be a guy in action next week in some high school football in the 757. We'll tell you about that, but our guys get it done, whether it's you, me, or the guys on the field.
And that's right. And even Coach Ed Young, who we have tracked down.
Oh, we found him.
And we have him now. He is here after last week's soundbite that you just heard.
Yep. Sometimes it's like, lie if you can, steal if you must, but always cheat or try to win. That's Ed Young's sometimes philosophy here. We say good morning to the head basketball coach of the Nansemond River Warriors. He's closing in on 500 career victories, Dino, but he only got 1 last week. And it wasn't the Niners to beat the Cardinals, and it wasn't the Colts to beat the Jaguars. It was New England to beat Miami. We'll see if he takes the Pats in tomorrow night's game against Seattle. We say good morning to the coach. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Matthew and Dino. I didn't exactly find out what I did last week, but you're telling me I was 1, and that was it.
Yeah, 1-2 for you, 3-0 for me, sweeping the board, and then the Bow Wows, the dogs. Dino's hit with the Rams over Dallas. And mine in college football, which I was ridiculed during and post-show about the Raging Cajuns. They got it done for me, and everybody's now asking me, what's your college football upset this week? Folks, I'm just going to say it right now. I don't have an upset because if you try to pick one every week, you'll end up a loser. Can't do it.
Well, you're right, and it was a great pick on taking the Raging Cajuns. There was a few of the other experts out there that thought there might be an upset.
Who? Name them. Let me hear them. What are their names?
I can't remember names, but when I read stuff online and I talk to my sources, there was enough people out there, but I don't know if anybody outright picked it. And Iowa State now, that when they picked up Louisiana, that was the 3rd pickup. They had 2 other games scheduled. Both got canceled. I guess teams aren't playing. So the only other team out there that was willing to play was Louisiana, and I bet you Iowa State really didn't want to play but needed a game, and now they're probably thinking, won't make that mistake again. And I'm sure that Louisiana got a little bit of money in that as a guarantee game and beat Iowa State. So Iowa State was a loser all the way around. But you've been known to pick, you're a little bit of hot streak. You picked the Derby winner. You picked a nice football upset. You went 3-0. Well, I tell you what, you're lucky you're not a betting man because a whole lot of people will be trailing you everywhere in the streets trying to get your next upset special.
You're so kind this morning. I thought you were going to say every once in a while a blind squirrel finds a nut. So you're not going to call me that today.
Well, I mean, you are a nut, but I mean, I'm not going to have to say that out loud on the air. There's no need to do that.
Okay.
You know what you are, but I got to give credit where credit's due. You when you hit it, you hit it. No excuses. I made a mistake when I picked San Francisco.
Yeah, how dare you go against the Cardinals? I told you, we don't have a quarterback that can see over the line of scrimmage, but that's okay. He can still run, and Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins can make plays, and even if the defense doesn't always tackle, they try. And sometimes in life, it's about trying.
Well, it's always about trying. You got to give effort, no question about that. Pros sometimes a little bit tricky to pick because, they had a shortened off season, no exhibition games. You don't know who's going to do what out there. I mean, Jacksonville beating Indy. Come on. I think the world made a guarantee that Indy would beat Jacksonville. That didn't happen. I think a lot of people, except for Dino, picked heavily towards the Cowboys. That didn't happen. You're just going to get those. That's just the way it is until these teams really start to settle down as to what they really are and what they're going to do well. I think a team like a New Orleans, though, I still think a New England, even though they got a lot of changes, those teams are pretty solid because of their program.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk on this 19th day of September. We thank you for tuning in here on ESPN Radio 94.1. We're on until noon today. 757-687-9494 is that number to call. According to your agent, Ed, you're only scheduled for a couple of segments this morning. Then you have some business to take care of. I'm not sure if that's finding the 7-foot-tall Slovakian, but nonetheless, we'll let you attend to your business.
Nope. Today is actually a sad situation. Attending the funeral of one of my former players, of course, Carlos Ward, from back in the Suffolk High days, 1987 state championship team. Today we lay him to rest, and this will not be a fun situation at all for us, but it's in the next part of the process. So this one is not a fun time to be away.
And we're sorry to hear that. We mentioned that last week on the show. If you missed any of last week's show, it's up on the podcast page on ESPNRadio941.com. Go click on over there to the 757 Sports Talk link there on the podcast section. You'll hear all the episodes so far. I think this is the fifth one since our Saturday reset and the various segments, including the picks and some of our scheduled guests this morning. We'll have a couple of good ones on after we bid adieu to Ed. We're scheduled to talk with Wally Jones, part of the Wally Wonder update on the Sports Inside and Out podcast with our good friend Coach Charles Hatcher, the Norview living legend, who was part of our 757 at 6 weeknight experience here on ESPN Radio 94.1 Sports Inside and Out, giving us the legends of sports all across the various sports. And Wally is down in the Wubble, or the bubble as they call it there in Florida for the NBA, so he'll chime in about how things are looking in professional basketball. If time permits, I'll go on my rant, which I went on this week on social media about shot blocks. I might try to condense it with them, but I'm just so irate over some of the things that I read and hear on television, I read on the internet, and hear on radio with some of these things when it comes to professional basketball. Everybody's got to proclaim something the greatest of all time the minute it happens, or they have to immediately refute it with every fiber in their body. Nonetheless, we'll talk with Wally about how things are looking in the NBA playoffs as they are winding down there with the conference finals before the NBA finals. And at 11:05, we'll talk with Portsmouth Christian head football coach Josh Blaylock, Ed, as they are scheduled to have a real football game next Saturday at 2 o'clock there in Portsmouth against Fredericksburg Christian, some private school action. And I know you'll be curious to find out last night that there was the first official high school football game in the state. It was North Cross out in Roanoke beating the homeschool Virginia Spartans 69-0. I believe it was 56-0 at the half. So they didn't wave the flag after the third quarter. They played the whole four, and that was your final. You didn't have the Virginia Spartans in your picks, did you?
No, if I would have took him, I would have had to take at least a plus 70, and I don't think anybody would give it. So
no.
Didn't take him. But, wow, that's a heck of a score for a first game, and maybe I guess they're playing all four quarters just to get the kids out and let them play, and probably playing a lot of kids, but boy, that's a tough defeat to absorb.
Hey, we talked some college football last week here on the program with our ACC buy or sell, and want to give a quick little shout-out. A lot of players were in action last week. One we missed was Karan Prunty out of Norcom High School in Portsmouth, Ed, though the Kansas Jayhawks fell at home for the second straight year. Boy, Mad Hatter, Les Miles, not doing too well out there in Lawrence, Kansas, at least compared to what he did at LSU when he brought them a national title. They fell to Coastal Carolina for the second straight year, but Karan Prunty had a few tackles in that one as a true freshman starting at cornerback, and one of the standouts a week ago in the 757. We've talked about him quite a bit. We've had him on ESPN Radio 94.1 back in the high school sports talk days out of Bethel High School. Jeremiah Owusu for Notre Dame, the leading tackler for them last Saturday in their hard-fought home victory over Duke. He had 9 total tackles, a sack, a couple tackles for loss, and a forced fumble as Owusu continues to shine and show why he is a projected first-round pick there for that Notre Dame defense in the next NFL draft. And I don't know if you know this or not today, but Ed, they take on South Florida. Do your Fighting Irish. I say you're Fighting Irish because you are a diehard. Interesting to note, a couple of things here. The last home loss for Notre Dame was September 9th of 2017 to the University of Georgia. They've won 19 straight home games. Now, today they do take on South Florida. They're a heavy favorite over South Florida, although the Bulls of South Florida won the lone previous meeting back in 2011, 23-20 in that opener. And of note here, Brian Kelly, the coach for Notre Dame, is tied for second all-time here on the active wins list among college football coaches at the Division I FBS level. Number 1 is Mac Brown of UNC with 252. He's coaching a number of 757 players such as Dazzlin' Daz Newsome of Hampton High, Cameron Kelly of Oscar Smith, Tony Grimes of Princess Anne, among a couple others. But Brian Kelly behind Mac Brown, and he's tied for second at 243 wins with Nick Saban of Alabama. So he should move past Saban today, although it'll be temporarily because come next week, the SEC will be in action.
And I'm a little surprised Brian Kelly's up that high. I would probably think of some other people in terms of active wins, but, you know, I don't think Kelly's one of those guys that gets a lot of fanfare about. The only time you hear him is when Notre Dame loses a couple games in a row or has what they at least recently have a worse season than what was expected. But, you know, I want to go back to that Kansas, you know, the Prunty kid from Norcom. That's great that he's getting a chance as a freshman, but Les Miles is finding life on the other side of coaching a little different. He had a lot of studs at LSU national championship, but it seems like Kansas is one of them Death Valley jobs where, for some crazy reason, they're a big-time Division I school, pretty good in other sports. We know their hit basketball history, just can't get it going in football. And that's 2 years in a row, losing to Coastal Carolina, who's not your NCAA powers to think of when you're talking even bowls, let alone championship. And I remember reading some preseason stuff that Miles might be in trouble. After 1 year at Kansas, be in trouble? I mean, you know what? Nick Saban going to go over and take that job? That ain't going to happen.
You even picked the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina lately? I know they're pretty good in baseball, by the way.
Yeah, no, their football program has done well, but come on now. They're not on the level of an SEC Big 12 type team. And, you know, it just amazes that Kansas can't really put it together in football. I mean, I figured this year, okay, they got some changes. They've played a lot of young kids lately. They'll be all right. Coastal Carolina, they own one, and they didn't. And that's very disheartening for them to start the season off because it will not get any easier because some people were saying their best chance for a win this year was Coastal Carolina, and obviously that didn't happen.
Well, we'll take a timeout. When we come back, it'll be week 2 of the NFL picks. You'll hear Ed's selections, mine. You'll even get a Dino dog to see if he can go to 2-0. And Dino, I know you're not picking college football games, but you love the underdogs. Are you leaning towards the Citadel today as a 48-point bow wow against Clemson?
That is a big, big bow wow, but that one was not on my radar.
Didn't think so. Clemson's got a couple of 7.57 guys on defense, and Sheridan Jones out of Maury High in Norfolk, and Jordan Williams from Cox High School in Virginia Beach, who we had on last month here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, as they should probably breeze their way to a 45th consecutive win on a Saturday. They've won 44 straight games on a Saturday, and it is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Along with Dino, I'm Matt Hatfield and the coach Ed Young on his favorite radio station. What is it, Coach?
Without doubt, without question, number 1 in the state, ESPN Radio 94.1.